Have you ever felt like you didn't belong in this world? I'm not talking about ordinary moments of sadness or confusion. I'm talking about a deep, constant, almost inexplicable feeling, as if your soul was put here by mistake, as if you see beyond what others see, as if every word, every conversation, every glance around you simply doesn't resonate with you, as if you were on another level, on another frequency. Have you ever felt that, even when surrounded by people, something inside you is alone? Have you experienced that disconnection that just won't go away, no matter how hard you try to fit in? It's not a coincidence. It's not weakness. And it's definitely not madness. You are not broken. You are waking up. And that awakening is not gentle. It is uncomfortable. It is painful. Because living as one of the chosen in a world that denies the spiritual, that ignores the signs, that fears what it cannot control, is a burden that few can bear. But you've always carried that burden. From a young age, you felt things others didn't. You saw more than you could explain. You had dreams that seemed like warnings. You felt presences, vibrations, energies. You saw repeating numbers, without knowing why. And yet, you remained silent, keeping quiet, observing, surviving. You have been cast aside, rejected, misunderstood, because the system doesn't know what to do with those who don't obey its invisible rules, with those who see more, feel more, love more, and also suffer more. But all of that had a purpose. That feeling of being different, that loneliness, that emptiness, they weren't punishments. They were preparation. You were set apart, not to be less, but because your soul was chosen from before you were born, from before you could even pronounce your name. And though the world made you doubt, deep down you always knew. You always felt there was something more, something hidden, something no one told you, but that your spirit remembered, and that memory is now awakening. You are here watching this because your soul recognized the call. It doesn't matter if it's night. It doesn't matter if you are tired, broken, lost. The fact that you have come this far means you are ready. Ready to remember what you always knew. You're not watching this video by accident. It wasn't a random click. It was a synchronicity, an answer, an activation. What you're feeling right now in this moment isn't just emotion. It's recognition. You are not like everyone else. You didn't come into this world to live an ordinary life. You weren't created to follow the crowd. You came to awaken others, to guide, to show the way. But first, you had to go through the fire. You had to fall, doubt, break, because only in this way could you be reborn. You have been tested in silence. You have been trained in darkness. And now, you are ready to receive the truth. What follows is not just any story. It's a message for your soul. It's the missing piece. It's the answer you sought in voiceless prayers, restless nights, and unexplained tears. And if you've ever wondered why the world felt so alien, it's because you weren't made for this world. This is just the beginning, and what you're about to hear could change everything. Before revealing the truth they've hidden from you all your life, stop for a second. Subscribe if, deep down, you always knew you were different. This is your refuge now, your safe space. Here is your tribe, those who feel like you, those who carry the same energy. Here, you are no longer alone. Miguel never fit in. It wasn't out of rebellion or a lack of love. Ever since he was a child, he felt that something inside him didn't belong in this world. While the other children ran and played, he remained silent, gazing at the sky with a strange feeling that his true home was up there. While the others laughed without thinking, Miguel asked profound questions that the adults didn't know how to answer. Be normal, they told him, but normal always seemed fake to him, artificial, as if everyone were playing a role he never wanted to play. At 10 years old, Miguel began to see things he couldn't explain, shadows that slithered down the hallway, even when no one else was home. He felt gazes, soft whispers, changes in the energy of the room. His mother thought it was his imagination. His father, that they were nightmares. But for him, it was all too real. He had no proof, but he also had no doubt. Something was following him, calling to him, as if a part of him were tuned to a different frequency. At 14, his dreams became more intense. He dreamed of places he had never seen, yet they felt familiar. Worlds filled with light, ancient symbols, beings that spoke without words. Upon waking, his heart pounded. He felt a sense of loss, as if he had just been torn from a sacred place. This longing stayed with him all day. as if his soul knew there was something beyond, something he needed to remember. In his teens, he became more withdrawn. He didn't fit in with his peers. Superficial conversations tired him. He perceived other people's emotions with an intensity that overwhelmed him. When someone suffered, he felt it as if it were his own. He was empathetic, but he didn't know it. He only knew that being with people exhausted him, that he needed to be alone to breathe. And so, little by little, he isolated himself. He convinced himself that his destiny was to walk alone, until one night, while aimlessly browsing the internet, he found a video. It didn't have many comments. The image was simple, but the narrator's voice said something that shook him to his core. "You're not broken. You're waking up." And Miguel began to cry. He didn't understand why, but something in those words struck him like lightning. It was as if someone were speaking directly to his soul, as if, for the first time, someone was truly seeing him. From that day on, everything changed. He began to investigate, to read about spiritual awakening, the symptoms he had always felt, the signs he had ignored. He understood that he wasn't alone, that many like him felt the same, that seeing the number 1111, having vivid dreams, feeling the energy of places, weren't crazy, but signs, that his life had been a preparation, that he was one of the chosen. And for the first time, Miguel felt no fear. He felt peace, because he understood that this world would never understand him, because he didn't come to fit in. He came to awaken the world, and as he accepted his truth, a new question began to form within him, a question that perhaps is also beginning to arise within you. Miguel began searching for answers with an intensity he had never felt before. He spent entire nights reading, researching, connecting pieces that seemed impossible to put together. The more he learned, the clearer everything became. One day, among old forums and digitized antique books, he found something that changed his life forever. Texts about the starseeds, beings sent to this world with a spiritual mission, but who, upon birth, forget who they truly are. At first, the idea seemed like fantasy to him, but as he read, each word resonated as if it had been written for him. It described exactly what he had felt since childhood: the profound loneliness, the feeling of not belonging, the silent certainty that there was something beyond the veil. Those texts spoke of ancient souls, souls that came from other planes, from other civilizations, sent to raise humanity's consciousness. They said that many of them live difficult lives, that they feel misunderstood, that they endure intense trials to remember their essence. Miguel stood motionless before the screen, reading the same lines over and over. He felt a mixture of relief and awe. It wasn't madness. It wasn't unfounded sadness. It was memory. His soul remembered something the world had tried to erase. For the first time, he understood that his isolation was not a punishment, but a preparation. That emptiness was not absence, but space for the sacred. That the inner voice that silently accompanied him was not his wandering mind, but his guide, his connection to the divine. The text also spoke of an invisible network of chosen simultaneous awakenings were happening in different parts of the world. People like him were slowly remembering who they were. Some called it a spiritual awakening, others a soul's mission, but the meaning was the same, a calling he could no longer ignore. Each word ignited something within him. He remembered the dreams he'd had as a child, the symbols he hadn't understood, the numbers he'd seen repeating: 1111, 2222, 333. It all fit together. They were reminders, messages from his own conscience trying to awaken him. Scientists would call it coincidence, but in his heart he knew it wasn't. It was a subtle language of the universe, designed for those who still remember how to listen. She began to feel a different vibration in her body, a peace that didn't come from thought, but from certainty, a feeling of returning home, not physically, but spiritually. She understood that the starseeds, they didn't come to escape the world, but to transform it from within. Their wounds were proof of their purpose. Sadness, empathy, feeling different, weren't flaws. They were signs of their connection to something greater. As he read, a phrase stuck in his mind: "The world fears what it cannot remember." That line haunted him, because he understood that the entire system was designed to make humanity forget its divine origin, to distract the soul with noise, fear, and routine, to make the chosen ones doubt themselves, and thus never fully awaken. But some were remembering, and he was one of them. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and felt an energy course through his body, as if something ancient were being reactivated. It wasn't suggestion, it was connection. And as that sensation enveloped him, he knew he wasn't alone, that many others were feeling the same thing at the same time, even if they didn't yet know why. If what you're hearing is touching your soul, say so in the comments. I remember who I am. I want to see how many of us right now are finally waking up. Since time immemorial, those who radiated a different light have always been viewed with suspicion. The oldest records speak of silenced prophets, persecuted visionaries, healers burned in public squares, and sages banished for challenging what was considered normal. The chosen ones have always been feared, and not for their words, but for what their existence awakened in others. Light is unsettling when it penetrates environments that have lived in darkness for a long time, and that is why the world has tried to convince you that being different is wrong. Miguel began to perceive this in the story's subtext. He began to see the patterns, the coincidences that were never coincidences. How, since childhood, he had been taught to obey, to be silent, to follow the rules, to repress his deepest questions. When he tried to express what he felt, they said he was exaggerating. When he spoke of energy, presence, or signs, they laughed or said it was just his imagination. But there was something there. There always was. An entire system built not only to entertain or distract, but to keep people on autopilot, repeating, conforming, obeying, forgetting. He realized that the silence he had maintained for years might not have been humility. Perhaps it was part of the plan. Because every time one of the chosen ones remains silent, the darkness gains a little more. What if his silence wasn't peace, but control? What if his discomfort with this world was precisely the proof that he wasn't made to accept things as they are? Perhaps, just perhaps, that difference of his was the code needed to break that programming. Miguel understood that every feeling of inadequacy, every hidden tear, every strange dream that had troubled him since childhood was, in reality, a key, a camouflaged message that he was finally learning to decipher. And then, it happened. The sound stops abruptly. A white flash fills the screen. Absolute silence. Still image. Breathing. A voice whispers, almost imperceptible but full of truth. They always knew who you were. But now, you know too. Miguel froze. That phrase didn't come from outside. It resonated within him, as if something in his DNA had been activated at that precise moment. As if all the pieces, finally, fell into place. He understood that he had never been invisible, that they weren't ignoring him. They were watching him, forces that benefit from keeping the chosen ones confused, because when one of the chosen ones awakens, truly awakens, they become uncontrollable, and not because of power or arrogance, but because of the truth, because no one who knows their spiritual mission continues to live a lie. Perhaps you now feel what Miguel felt. That vibration that runs down your spine, a lump in your throat that isn't sadness, it's a memory, an inexplicable energy, but it's there. Because the awakening of the chosen ones isn't a spectacle of lights and fireworks. It's silent, almost imperceptible to the outside world, but inside, it's an earthquake, a revolution. Think about all the times you doubted yourself, all the times you felt like no one understood you, all the times you looked to the sky for an answer. And now realize, maybe you weren't wrong. Maybe you were just remembering. What if, in fact, all of this were orchestrated? What if you were right here, right now, listening to these words? Because this is the moment everything changes. The question is no longer, why are you different? The question now is, what are you going to do with it? If you feel something stirring inside you, even if you can't explain it, keep watching. The real message begins now. All your life you carried that strange feeling of not fitting in. From childhood, you perceived things differently. What moved others didn't always move you, and what excited you seemed incomprehensible to those around you. You walked among people as if you lived between two worlds, and perhaps you tried to ignore it. Perhaps you tried to adapt. Perhaps you even believed it was just a phase. But now you know. What they called drama was sensitivity. What they called an overactive imagination was intuition. What they called escaping reality was, in reality, memory. Your soul always knew. You weren't simply different. You were sent. And the unease that silently accompanied you, the emptiness in your chest, the unanswered questions, the recurring signs, all of it was the echo of a mission trying to reach you. A truth they tried to hide, But that always found a way to whisper to your spirit. The pain you felt, it was the call. It was the invisible impulse the universe used to keep you restless, to remind you that you didn't come here to conform. You came to awaken. And even when all seemed lost, even when you thought of giving up, there was something inside you that refused to die. A spark, a frequency, a sacred fire that this world could not tame. Now you begin to remember. Now everything begins to make sense. And for the first time, you understand. You were never lost. You were simply preparing. You were the stranger, the loner, the one who felt too much, saw too much, thought too much. But now you understand why. You were the voiceless one, the misunderstood one. But now, everything is clear. Now you are no longer alone. And no matter where you are now, in a dark room, on a crowded bus, in a difficult moment of your life, if you hear this and feel this energy flow through your body, it is not by chance. It is resonance. Your soul recognizes the call. You were chosen, but no one told you. No one explained what it meant. No one prepared you for what was to come. And so you suffered in silence. But now, everything is starting to fall into place. Now, all the pain is transforming into strength. Now, everything that isolated you is transforming into connection. Because the chosen ones don't find each other by chance. They are drawn to one another by a vibration. And if this vibration resonates within you now, it's because your moment has arrived. The moment to remember. The moment to accept. The moment to reclaim your purpose. Perhaps your eyes are welling up right now. Perhaps you feel a tingling sensation on your skin. Perhaps you feel a weight lifted from your shoulders. This is not weakness. This is liberation. This is truth entering where doubt once reigned. If you have felt this warmth in your chest, if tears have sprung forth without warning, if your heart seems to have awakened, then you are ready to hear what was never spoken aloud. You were chosen, but nobody told you, until now. And what comes next will surprise you even more. In the next video, I'm going to reveal why they chose you, but forgot to tell you. And when you hear it, you'll never see yourself the same way again. If you've made it this far, I want you to tell me in the comments, "Now I understand." Or, if you felt deeply moved by this, write, "I was chosen and I am awakening." And if you can, tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how far this message has reached. Let's show the algorithm and the world how many of us are awakening. How many remember? How many feel? Write, even if you tremble in silence, even if it seems like madness. Because sometimes, all your soul needs is a place where it can be who it truly is. And this place is here and now. Don't let this truth disappear. If your heart races, if your soul remembers, then this is your moment. Write in the comments now, "I've never been random." This is not just a phrase, it is a manifesto of your existence. Subscribe, not for me, but for you. Because if this has resonated with you, it's because there's still more to reveal. Like this video, if your soul has begun to awaken. And share it with someone who has always felt different, because they need to hear this too. The journey has just begun. Now, move on to the next video. You'll understand why. You were chosen, but nobody told you. The time for forgetting is over. Now, it's time to remember who you are.